Namaste, Sitaram, a pleasant good morning. Welcome to Rudraaya. I'm your host, Nisha Sharma, and Rudraaya is being brought to you with kind compliments of Maha RudraDev Mandir. And of course, our Mandir is located at 850 Tapscott Road, Unit 34 in Scarborough, with Tapscott and McNichol being our closest intersection. So I wish you, this is actually our last Saturday morning for the month of January, and next week we welcome February. So hopefully it was a good month for all of you, and of course we bring you straight to our pravachan with our spiritual leader. I'd like to introduce you to Pandit Ravi Sharma.
Many in this entire world, even amongst this pandemic that we all experience and throughout the entire world, this COVID-19, as Sanatanis, as Hindus, we should still make some effort and offer some prayer or sincerity towards Shri Pavanputra Hanumanji on this day. Many of us would listen to the Shri Hanumanji Chalisa. Some would sing it, and this day I thought I would share with you just one of the verses, and it goes right down towards the end. Jo yaha padhe Hanuman Chalisa, oye siddhi sakhi Gaurisha. It is indicated in the Yoga Sutra that Shanghai Gyan Upati Vyastushunyo Vikalpaha. Verbal delusion occurs when words do not correspond to reality. Taja apasta dharata abhavanam. This must be replaced with meditation upon its meaning. Yoga Sutra, Chapter 1, verse 28. What is merely vocalized without being understood is like a dry wood without fire. It never burns. It is indicated. There was a saint who would always tell his followers, his disciples, that if they study the Shastras, it would put the scripture in their hearts. One of them asked, why on our hearts are not within the heart? And the saint answered that only Paramatma, only Bhagwan, God can put the scripture inside. Merely reading the sacred text can put it on your hearts. But when your heart breaks, have you heard someone when they indicate that they are heartbroken, or he or she has broken my heart? Hearts could break due to sufferings or in a divine rapture. The sacred words will sink in then through reflection and contemplation. I wanted to share this verse Taken from the Shri Hanumanji Chalisa, if you have the copy and you want to follow it. Jo yah pare Hanumana Chalisa, hoi siddhi saki Gaurisha. Jo yah pare, it means that the one who reads and studies this stanza or this verse, let us call it a hymn. You would understand what I mean. It points that it is absolutely necessary to deeply understand every word in this hymn. Its multiple layers of meanings and connotations. Understanding helps in holding the awareness of the essence. Sri Hanumanji Chalisa is a text that is heavily pregnant with awareness, waiting to be born in the mind of a sincere seeker. Such an awareness can transform a seeker from a human, H-U-M-A-N, to a H-U-M-A-N-A, Hanuman. Remember, such an awareness can transform a seeker from a human to a Hanuman. His ego sense expands to include all in a way that only all remains instead of I. Life transforms from an endless chase of taken into an everlasting vow, like that of the Buddha, to give and serve. From winning a race in hoarding goods and experiences, life becomes a joyous caravan of giving while journeying through this world, serving the earth with all her beings. I read that scientists of Emory University in Atlanta, they had, this was an article that was founded by them, that they indicated that they have found that reading brings about changes in the brain, leading to the heightening and the connectivity in the left temporal cortex. This points out to the benefits of reading relating to self-study, or it is called as Swadhyaya. Taittiriya Upanishad clearly instructs us in the parted message from the Guru to the graduating students. Swadhyayat ma pramad, which means do not neglect your self-study and pursuit of knowledge under any circumstance or folly. Systematic pursuit of knowledge through self-study is a requisite ladder for the soul's ascent. It is unique to Vedic philosophy, seldom found in other streams of religious philosophy. Most of you will ask, what does Chalisa mean? Majority will say Chalisa means 40. These are the 40 verses and praises of Shri Hanumanji. Shiv Chalisa means these are the 40 verses and praises of Lord Shiva. But there are more meanings that is implied in our Sanatana Dharma, in our text. And so Chalisa also means that which moves, which is dynamic. It comes from the word chalan. Chalan means movement. Shri Hanumanji Chalisa is not just a static poem meant to be recited in front of the picture or in front of the murti of Shri Hanumanji and think that that is all, that it should just be hum as you run through in life. Hanumanji Chalisa is a dynamic statement of intent and information, meant to be practiced, more important to be lived on one's feet. It is a downloadable version of an inner software which anyone can practice and replicate. Just as a mere reading of the instruction manual of any gym equipment cannot benefit the reader, similarly, simply reciting this hymn is not going to be of any great help as is understood and commonly practiced by devotees at large. A sincere study of this Chalisa is implied in this verse. Jo yah padhe. Such a study alone can bring about a radical transformation of an ordinary seeker to a spiritual adept, a siddha. Hence for this adept, success on his or her inner part is predestined, predetermined, as he or she moves forward in the world with an invincible Vajra. Like Hanumanji, he holds this Muktar, he holds this Vajra also, this mace, this Vajra, this thunderbolt, as it is indicated. With an invincible Vajra, resolved to love and serve. Divine Siddhas or powers propel his or her way to success in his or her endeavors, material, social and spiritual. He or she achieves the fourfold goal of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That of course is another topic by itself. Another reading of this verse tells us, Jo yah padhe, that whoever means, Jo means whoever, studies this Shri Hanumanji Chalisa and applies the same in his or her life will become an accomplished Shishya. They'll become an accomplished student. They'll become a sthita pragya, an aspirant searching after spiritual truth. In short, they become an accomplished soul, abiding in the witness of all, the witness which is the self, Sakhi, as Shiva, Gaurisha. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, verse 23, tells us that the Supreme Self is in the human's body and it is called as the seer witness, the permitter, the supporter. Bhagwan Shankar Maheshwara, Bhagwan Shiva, the great God Shivji, is the Supreme Soul. The seeker stabilizes in the seer consciousness by being the movie screen upon which life unfolds. Just as the movie plays on the screen in a theater, the events of one's life unfolds on one's mind screen. Like the fire in the movie does not burn the screen, or the water that splashes around in the movie does not make the screen wet, so also the consciousness of the seeker stays untouched by the myriad emotions and the events of life drama, as it plays itself, its film strip rolled upon the karmic wheel. Devotees, I hope you have understood some of the gist, some of the true Vedantic meaning of what this verse itself means. As you continue on your prayer throughout the day, that we hope that the blessings of Shri Hanumanji will be upon each and every one of you. Prem se bolo Shri Pavana Putra Hanuman ki Jai.
बजरंगी संकट मोचन को मैंने बुलाया दुख भंजन को, बजरंगी संकट मोचन को, चुनी मन की मेरे हर की कली, चुनी मन की मेरे हर की कली की जय जय बजरंग बली, जय माँ रुद्र महाबली की जय जय बजरंग बली। जिनको कहे सब राम दुलारा, जिनके कहे सब राम जय बजरंगबली। मंगल मूर्ति है बलबीरा, मंगल मूर्ति है बलबीरा, भक्त के जो के हर ले पीरा, भक्त के जो हर ले पीरा। उनके भक्ति के ज्योति तले, उनके भक्ति के ज्योति तले की जय जय बजरंगबली, जय मारुत महाबली की जय जय बजरंगबली, जय मारुत महाबली की जय जय बजरंगबली, की जय जय बजरंगबली, की जय जय बजरंग।
My dear viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this morning's pravachan. And of course, as we go through this year, yet another year where we're faced with this pandemic, of course, whatever we can do here at Maha RudraDev Mandir, as well as Rudraaya, to bring you some form of comfort, we do take our time to bring it to you, and we do hope that it does bring you some form of comfort. And with that being said, we'll get straight into our health segment with our own Dr. Sat Jan Ramkisoon.
So we actually spend a lot of time planning and preparing. We plan and prepare for our future. We plan our education. We plan to get a good job. We spend a lot of time planning for our weddings. We plan to retire well and to live well. We even plan for the afterlife. But how much time do we actually spend planning for that one event that is guaranteed to happen? How much time do we have planning on dying, on planning on our own death? In the last few minutes of life, you have to ask yourself, do we wish to actually have a natural death where we actually pass on peacefully? Or do we want all aggressive interventions, despite the pain and the poor outcomes that are associated with some of these interventions? Now, for most people, the most scary part of dying is actually not death itself. It's actually the pain and the suffering that comes at the end of life. We may not actually have control over when we die, but we definitely have control over how we die. As a physician, my role is to relieve pain and suffering. However, I actually have to admit that much of what we do at the end of life causes a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering. And that's in the last few minutes and seconds of someone's life. The medical system actually mandates that anyone who actually has lost their heartbeat or cannot breathe on their own, they're without vital signs, that all aggressive interventions be done. In other words, if your heart or lungs were to stop and you were actually in the process of dying, all of these painful, invasive procedures will be done by default. This is unless it was the actual expressed and documented wishes of the particular individual that they are not performed. And instead, a natural death is allowed to occur. This is actually how we can have control over how we die. Now, despite death being a necessary part of life, we actually find it very, very difficult to discuss this topic. I can't tell you the number of times that I've had this conversation, like the one we just did in the thought process, and a family member actually admits that they have never discussed this topic with their 70, 80, or 90-year-old relative. When this conversation does not occur, the burden now falls onto the family member who's actually present. I've actually seen families being pulled apart because there's no agreement between those who are present on what decision should be made on behalf of their dying loved one. We need to actually speak about this and make our own wishes known so that we don't put our family members in this position.
My dear viewers, I hope you've enjoyed the health segment, and of course we get straight into our corporate segment with Kamalji from Lotus Funeral Home.
Sitaram and Namaste. My name is Kamal Bardwaj, and I'm the owner of Lotus Funeral and Cremation Center in Toronto and Kitchener Funeral Homes and Crematorium in Kitchener. I'm also a licensed funeral director. As the number of COVID cases, related deaths are on the rise, some families have to deal with the decision to have their loved one who passed away transported to another country. Many questions are being asked. If the person died due to COVID, can the body be shipped to another country? Also, can the body be viewed in another country if the body was a COVID-related death? Recently, a few countries have stopped all non-essential travel to their country. However, shipping someone who has passed away would be done in cargo on a plane, so the country would allow the body to be received in their country. If the death was due to COVID, the body still can be shipped. Before shipping a deceased person, special treatments are performed on the body to eliminate the virus, so it is safe for travel. Also, there is a strict procedure involving the container used to ship, as well as the appropriate documentation. The viewing of the body in the country where the body is shipped will depend on the policy of the receiving funeral home and/or the government policy at the time about viewing the body. At Lotus Funeral and Cremation Center and at Kitchener Funeral Homes and Crematorium, we operate 7 days a week and 24 hours a day. Our crematorium is located in our building, so we never have to leave our building in cold or bad weather for a cremation. Our crematorium space can have a large group of people to attend the witnessing of a cremation as well. For Hindu families, we can provide all the puja items, including fresh leaves and a havan kund. We have large halls that can accommodate large seating to smaller ones. We are centrally located for families in the west and for families from the east. For more information, please contact me from the telephone number on the screen. Thank you for watching, and see you next week on Rudraaya. Sitaram.
Life is beautiful, but death is inevitable. I realized this when my dad passed away. So much pain, and amidst all this, the worry of arranging a funeral. Thankfully, in all this, Kamal stood by me. From the viewing to the cremation, he arranged it all at one location. Once someone is gone, they don't come back. But Lotus Funeral Home knows how to give them a respectable farewell.
Lotus Funeral Home. Life must be celebrated.
मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की 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 चरण बिना मुझे कुछ नहीं भावे 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 ज्योति माय सब स्वप्नन की ज्योति माय सब स्वप्नन की मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की संग आए। भाव सागर सब सुख गया है, भाव सागर सब सुख गया है। फिक्र नहीं मुझे तरनन की, फिक्र नहीं मुझे तरनन की। मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की, 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 मोहे लागे लगन गुरु चरणन की।
जय 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 महादेव। जय 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 महादेव। श्वेतांबर पीतांबर पतिनिभागंबर साजे, पतिनिभागंबर साजे। गले माला रुंदन की, गले माला रुंदन की। कर डमरू बाजे। जय 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 महादेव।
My dear viewers, we have come to the end of another segment of Rudraaya. I hope you've enjoyed this morning's segment, and of course would like to thank our kind sponsors at Maha RudraDev Mandir, as well as our executive producer Gary Khan for making Rudraaya possible. And of course, following Rudraaya this morning, I hope that you are staying tuned, because our executive producer is bringing to you, as we continue this line of programming, Masala TV. And of course, I'd just like to leave with you a thought about reflection. And I guess as the year has come to an end, we're all doing some form of self-reflection. And, when you think about our birth, it actually takes 9 months for us to be physically created and gift wrapped into the womb. And then we are born, and we consider the day we are born our birthday. But it's really not our birthday. It's the world's birthday. And so, rather than waiting on a year to pass on that particular day that you were born to do self-reflection, we should conduct self-reflection on an ongoing basis and always live our life in the way that when you were born into this world, as the Hindu philosophy, as the Indian philosophy, I should say, talks about it. When you were born into this world, you cried and the entire world rejoiced. When you die, please ensure that you are rejoicing and the entire world is crying. So let us all live our life to leave that legacy behind. My dear viewers, I look forward to seeing you right here next week on Rudraaya. So until then, stay safe and have a blessed week. Namaste.